I'm Leon Todd for G66. Welcome to another Tuesday Tone Tip. On today's video, we're going to talk about stacked compression, a classic technique that uses two compressors in series. I'm going to show you 3 different use cases for this. Before we get into any of them though, I'm going to be using the Deluxe Verb normal amp model with a matching Deluxe Verb Dynacab setup, ribbon and dynamic, slight offset over here. I've pulled the ribbon 20 millimeters away from the dynamic, and I've got an 80 hertz low cut and 8 kilohertz high cut in the cab block, a little bit of the large room reverb. This is a Fender Strat. I'm going to be on the bridge pickup to start. These are some Fralin single coils. Then I'll go to the neck and the middle. We get this. So on that neck and middle, it's kind of nice and bright and funky. On the bridge, it's a bit more grunty and it's starting to break up over there. Let's just start off with a single compressor. And if you want a really easy to use all-round compressor just to make things a little bit smoother and easier to play, start out with the studio feed-forward compressor, set the ratio to 4, and play some guitar. Let's have a listen to what it does for that funk style thing I was just playing. I also really like that because it's just adding a little bit of grit the way it's set up, kind of bringing everything up slightly. You could lean into that and use the level over here to give it a boost. Try 6 to 9 dB of boost over there, and we get this. That also changes the feel of playing this guitar. It does make it a lot more forgiving. There's a bit more sustain on there. It does bring up the noise floor though, and you can kind of hear that it's squishing the sound a little bit on there. If you like that and you want to lean into the character, say the quack that a Strat has, the studio feed forward is awesome. What I'm going to do is this. I'm going to change to the studio feedback compressor over here, and we're going to use some settings inspired by the classic 1176 compressor. Shout out to Austin Buddy for sharing these as a starting point. Let's go for a faster attack over here. We'll go 0.25 milliseconds. We'll do 70 milliseconds for the release time. I've got auto attack and release off. We can play around with the threshold on here so that this just takes out some of the peaks on there. So I might bring the threshold up to around -30. If you're playing a guitar with really low output pickups, take this lower. If you're playing a guitar with higher output pickups, of course, take the threshold closer to 0 over there. So this is what the studio feedback compressor is doing for us. Kind of taking the overall spikiness out of the guitar there. However, what we had before was all that sustain when I was kind of boosting things up. Everything was super squishy in there. Why not take out the peaks with this first compressor in there and then use another compressor as a kind of like booster and enhancer? So the first of these 3 tricks I would say is just use the same compressor type. So I'll go with studio feedback compressor. I like the squish that it's got, and I'm just going to copy this block and place it after the other one over here. So then we've got the exact same settings on both blocks. What I will change is the threshold over here on this one. So I want this to have a lower threshold. It's basically going to be a little bit more active, and I'm going to turn the level up by 3 dB over here. What I can then do is I can feed this second compressor a hotter signal by using the output level of the first compressor. So let's just have a listen to it with no comp and then with both comps. Getting a two-stage effect on there. The first comp is just kind of evening things out, but then I'm using it to feed the second comp that's giving me all that awesome sustain on there. It's kind of giving me all the benefits of high gain while still having a clean sounding signal on there. It's so much easier to play, and the overall guitar just comes straight forward in the mix there. You could take this a bit further. This would be the second tip on here, and change up the attack and release time on the second compressor. So you could go for a slightly slower attack on there. Maybe let's go back to 2 milliseconds, and let's go for a really long release over here. Let's go like 500 milliseconds, so that this is essentially going to act as a sustainer. So we've got our compressor up front, which is just kind of taking out the little peaks in there. I could even bring the threshold on this up, and then I could take the threshold on this one right down, longer attack and release over there. It's pretty wild having so much sustain on such a clean sound there. It's why those kind of settings are so awesome for slide guitar. My final variation that I'd recommend you play around with are to change up the compressor types, basically, so you can get slightly different characteristics out of those compressor settings. So let's stay with the studio feedback compressor over here. You can see I've actually loaded this one from my blocks library, so I have these settings saved in here. Attack time and release time have come from an Austin Buddy tip on the forum. Again, shout out to Austin Buddy, makes amazing presets and shares so much knowledge. And we're going to use one of the sustainer types in the compressor block here. I'm using the JFET sustainer, and you know what? I'm going to try and play some slide guitar with these settings just so you can hear what it does to my incredibly average slide skills. hopefully these 3 ideas provide some inspiration for using stacked compression in the Axe FX3, FM9 and FM3. Let me know if you've tried this before, or if you do try it, let me know how it goes for your rig. Like I said, if you're a slide player and you can actually play slide, I think you'll really enjoy this. If you just want a variation on a classic boost in front of a clean to edge or breakup amp, it works very well indeed. And what I'm going to do to play you all out is I'm going to put on a really large ambient reverb. Let's go for the Stratocumulus. Let's crank up the mix over here. I'll grab a little bit of the 2290 delay, a bit of trem, and I'll try to play some more slide on here. If you have suggestions for future Tuesday tone tips, let me know in the comment section below. Otherwise, have a great day, and I'll see you all next time.
Mm-hmm.